discussed the fact that effective stories, good stories, tap into your emotions. World champion speaker David Brooks has noted that there are 6 common emotions that people share: happiness, anger, fear, disgust, sadness, and surprise. When your stories can tap into at least one of these emotions, you will create a connection with your audience. If you're not sure, think about some of the stories from your childhood or your life that had an impact on you, or that you at least remember. For example, in the story of the tortoise and the hare, you were probably surprised the first time you heard that story that the tortoise won. In the movie Jaws, you were probably a bit scared afterwards to get into the ocean for fear that you might become a tasty snack for a great white shark. And in the story of Anne Frank, you may have experienced the emotion of anger when you realized the unfair treatment that her family was given by the Nazis. And you were probably also surprised at the end of that story when she wrote in her diary, "I do believe, in spite of everything, that people are good at heart." So good stories, memorable stories, tap into those common emotions. And when your story is memorable, it can create a memorable message. And that message can leave an impact on an audience. In addition to emotions, a good presentation should change the way that people think, feel, or act. In many ways, a story should provide one additional emotion for your audience, and that is hope. Take the Star Wars trilogies, for example. At their core, the Star Wars movies are about redemption. In the book The Grapes of Wrath, John Steinbeck created a story that at its core was about hope for people in very uncertain and difficult times. And in the movie Titanic, the story is ultimately about love conquering all obstacles, including time and death itself. So you don't have to be a George Lucas, a John Steinbeck, or a James Cameron to create a message that can impact lives. Anytime you speak, you don't know who's in your audience. You don't know what they're experiencing. It could be a couple that's struggling to save their marriage. It could be a parent who is dealing with a very difficult child. It could be a woman who is struggling to keep her job and maintain her home and her family. You'll never know in many cases. But when you tell your story, engage the emotions, and provide even a glimmer of hope, you can impact lives far beyond an understanding you may ever realize. So here's a second exercise for you in addition to the exercise in the last video. In this exercise, create a new story file. And this is a file where you will tell stories from your life. Go back as far as you can in your memory and write down the stories that you still remember, that still have an impact on you, all the way to the current day. Then go back and figure out why those stories resonate with you. Was it a fearful incident? Was it a happy memory? Was it a disgust, surprise? Any of those emotions, write them down. Because once again, when you understand why stories are memorable to you, you have a better understanding of why your stories will have an impact on your audience. So try this exercise and you'll deepen your understanding of your connection with your future audiences. This is Michael Davis of Speaking CPR. And never forget, you have a story that someone needs to hear.